Hello.
What's up, everybody? We are back once again. My name is Travis,
And I'm Kimberly.
and we finally got our title for our podcast. We got it locked in. Come on, I think we really like it. I
Yep.
think you guys will like it as well. What is it?
All right. Well, welcome to the Marriage Mixtape.
The Marriage Mixtape.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What's the tagline?
Because every marriage has a soundtrack.
Every marriage has a soundtrack. Now, we were in bed the other day. We were actually listening to different songs for each year. We were looking at the top songs of that year and seeing which song of this year, of that year, represents our marriage, right? And the first years of our marriage were very toxic and unhealthy in lots of different ways. But I think this is going to be interesting because we're going to go through year by year and how the songs change and the music changes. And I think at some point it should not be just the top songs of that year, but what songs really represent that time of life for us.
Yeah.
So, and if anybody that's listening, I want you to put in the comments maybe some of your favorite songs that would be the soundtrack for your marriage. It'd be cool to hear from the people, right?
And to be able to share that with others and saying hey.
What songs represent your marriage, maybe in different seasons? Maybe you can, find the early years were like this, and then there was this hard time, and there's, these songs that represent different times of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Are you excited about this?
I mean, it was a bit, not rough, but just kind of this is interesting to have to go back in time and find out what songs were the big hits at that time. Mm-hmm. And some of it I was I don't even remember anything. So, yeah.
Well, the mixtape era for us, because you got to understand, we grew up in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. And that was mixtape time, but actual cassettes, right? Before digital music, before CDs, there were cassettes. That was after vinyl. Vinyl was huge.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the cassette tape was introduced in the 80s. And that's kind of what we grew up on, was cassettes, and then CDs came out. Yeah. I'm trying to remember how old we were when CDs came out.
Middle school.
Probably, yeah.
Middle school.
Probably late elementary, almost middle school.
I remember middle school because we still had records in my household. So we didn't have CDs right away.
Yeah, so this all fits because, if you understand our story, is that at the time when we met, I was super entrepreneurial, yet kind of hood. So I was hustling mix CDs, and I had a whole CD burning factory in my basement, and that's kind of how Kimberly and I met, because I was selling CDs at the mall.
Yeah, just a little
it's
snippet.
So unromantic.
Yeah. I mean, if you want the romance part of it, it was a cold, snowy day, and the door just swung wide open, and in he walked into the store.
My North Face coat on and my Timberland boots.
Yeah.
Kicking off snow.
Mm-hmm. Imagine that as a Hallmark / Lifetime movie.
Okay. I remember you were wearing a purple shirt that I think was off the shoulders, if I remember correctly.
I don't think for winter.
Well, you were indoors. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. It was a long sleeve though.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I think that's what you were wearing. You were at work, so.
I don't remember wearing that, but okay.
I remember you had a purple jacket, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Leave my jacket alone. It was amazing.
It was shiny. It was kind of remember the Missy Elliott jacket that she had in I Can't Stand the Rain? I feel like that should be one of the songs from our soundtrack.
Okay, moving on. Anyway. So I know we were going to really dig into a topic.
We do have a topic, yes.
Yes, because we can save the musicality.
Well, this will be an ongoing theme.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about music. We're going to be playing music in different episodes. and revealing to you our marriage soundtrack.
Yeah.
So, but we do have a topic for today. What is our topic?
From me to we.
From me to we.
Yeah.
Why is that so important for us?
For
Or
us.
any couple, from going from me to we? What does that mean?
That it's no longer about you. It's about you and, you know what I mean? Like it's more so about you and another person, not just yourself. Because you chose to enter into marriage with someone else. So it's no longer about being single and having that single-mindedness. Yeah.
Do you feel like you lose yourself a little bit in that process, or do you feel like if it's healthy, like what's the balance there? Because I think the idea of going from me to we, some people feel like they actually have to lose themselves.
No. You don't need to lose yourself. If anything, you're making sure that you are being 100% yourself, and that there isn't anything to lose. Because that other person that you have joined union with, that you've gotten married to, truly accepts and appreciates you 100% and is not wanting to change that. And I know in some situations, people who end up finding out they married somebody where they're like, oh, I need to change some things.
Well, I think that happens to everybody.
Yeah, but
in some way.
It could be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it could be, I can't even think of the word. Like,
alarming
or
surprising?
extreme.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at our marriage and like our early years. Very unhealthy, very toxic, controlling, manipulative, betrayal. Right? This is why you love the soap operas. Our
Like
life
I
was
said,
like a soap opera.
More like a Lifetime movie, that just keeps going with commercials in between.
So, yeah, I mean, in a healthy marriage, I mean, you hope that you would make room for one another. And this is something we've talked about before, but maybe even on the podcast, we've already kind of addressed this, but my personality is pretty big. I'm pretty outgoing. I'm a visionary. I can like dream really big and like set these plans for us, right? And at times, do you feel like, have you ever felt like you were losing yourself, or you had to maybe deny the things that you wanted to do in order to go along with what I was asking, or what I was like dreaming and envisioning?
Did I have to give up a part of myself in order to go along with? There probably were times. I don't have anything specific that sticks out to me. Yeah, I mean, probably when the kids were little and I was like, okay, I'll let you go do that while I'm home dealing with the kids. I don't even say dealing, but raising our kids, and you just kind of went out and did. And I think, in some ways I did lose some of myself.
Yeah.
But I kind of emerged myself as being mom, and that became my full-on identity.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think every couple goes through this challenging time of like letting go of things that we think are who we are. Like let's start with the simple. Okay. Someone gets married and they move in together, and all of a sudden now they're sharing responsibilities. They go from, right, you just have to clean the house for yourself, or maybe you had roommates. I don't know. Maybe you live with people, maybe not. But you all of a sudden go to sharing everything, even like decorate the way things are decorated, right? How the house is laid out, how it's used. schedules, calendars, right? I think calendars is a big example. It's like going from me to we, where I have to now be aware of all of these different things that involve you, involve the kids, right? And that could be challenging at times. Now, that doesn't happen all at once, right? That happens over a number of years,
Right.
especially as the kids get older. But what are some things like that, like brand new couples that are just married? Maybe they're in their 20s, maybe they're in their 30s, and they're trying to deal with this idea of saying no and almost denying what I want. And it's not about what I want, but it's about what we want and what God wants for us together, ultimately, right? What would you say to like a young couple?
I guess my question would be like, what do you think that you're losing? Or what do you feel like you're giving up? That would be the first question. And the second question would be like, where is it ranked as far as you alone, when it was just you, and where is it ranked as you and your spouse? And kind of like reevaluate.
What each person has to give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what I mean. Like, is it an even scale? Are we keeping track so that it's like balanced and even? Or is like, are there certain things that
I know I'm not keeping track. I don't know if other people
I know.
may. And so I'm like, to get a little bit more understanding of like
Yeah.
what's really going on. And
Okay, well, look at it from this aspect. What about like a wife who eventually is going to have children and has to choose between like career and like, what she was good at? Maybe she went to school for this. Maybe she actually loves this career, but now has kids and at some point can make a decision. Do I want to leave this part of my life behind so that I can focus on the household? Is that a better use of my love and energy and who I am, right? And that can be a decision that they can make together, but ultimately, like, that's part of can feel like you're losing part of yourself.
yeah, but again, like, I'm not going to speak for every woman. I'm going to speak for my situation. Yeah, I had different careers, so to speak, or different jobs and positions, and I had to truly listen to God on like where should my time be poured into? Should my time continue to be pouring into other children or pouring into my own children and the stages of life that they were entering into? And in some ways, I'm missing out on those stages because I was pouring into others. And I appreciated being able to somehow figure out how to balance both. But then at some point, God was just like, yeah, you can't do this anymore. You have to shift and do this other thing. And then at the same time, we had conversations about it. And like, okay, what is it going to look like? Okay, this is what I'm being told from God. But then I'm also feeling like I need to walk away from this. If I walk away from this, what is our home life going to be like? What is financially? So there's just like so many factors. And it's like having that conversation as a married couple before fully deciding to just, and over the years, yeah, I've definitely felt that sadness of like, I miss being in a classroom. I miss being around those 3 and 4-year-olds. Because dealing with teenagers is hard. It is very much hard. But, at the same time, it is rewarding because I'm able to be a part of these stages in their life. Yeah, so I do have certain regrets about like, but I wasn't, yeah.
I mean, financially, I'd say for us, financially has probably been one of the most like refining experiences. Like as we begin to like relook at like money and how we spend and how does that affect one another. And you know, there's been a lot of growth, I think, for us through that. And I feel like we're finally entering a season where financially we are looking at this thing together, you know, like very much for a long time, like I looked at the finances alone and you didn't necessarily want to like look at that. And that was also challenging because like you had to trust me. And then like there's times where like we didn't have enough, especially being, you know, in ministry and all that. Like there's times where like we were really struggling, and I imagine you felt kind of insecure or like just struggling with the situation that we were in, you know? So even just as a man, like if you're a newly married couple and as a man, you're finding yourself now having to provide at another level, right? There's a whole nother level of provision. And I don't think men really talk about it enough, like what they're feeling on the inside, because it's just not like acceptable. Like to go in, like you can confide in your wife, but she don't want to hear you complain.
I would say yes and no. I would say there are some women who are like, no, I don't want to have to hear that. But then there are others who are like, no, I want to hear about your emotion. So
You don't want to hear about my emotion. Come on.
my goodness. There are
Just
some.
be well. I'm just saying, like like you don't want to. You're like, okay, like get over it and like make this thing work. You know what I mean?
I don't say that. Oh my goodness.
You don't?
No.
Oh man, I don't. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay. So basically when you're like talking about that, you're saying like more so, is it like independence versus interdependence?
Yeah,
And just going from that to, you know what I mean? Like who's responsible for what and who does it well.
sure.
Is that what takes place? Or is it best like, no, we both need to come together to do this well together?
Ooh, well, this made me think. So in our context, like we are believers, right? We believe in Jesus, we follow Jesus, we're in ministry, and giving has always been a big part of our journey with the Lord, and also the generosity of others, because we fundraise, we kind of rely on what we do. We rely on the body of Christ to partner with us to keep going, right? But also giving for us, generosity has always been a big thing. So going from, I would say also, if you're a Christian and you give on a regular basis, and that should be a conversation that, right, including your spouse in your giving. And that goes from me to we, where it's actually an us decision. Because often one person in the marriage can like have a different view of money. And I think how we view and how we perceive money, how we're attached to money can affect our giving,
Yeah,
right?
it can. Because it can go from, oh, let's only give $1 or $2 to like, let's give 2,000. You know, so.
Well, there's been times when like God tells me to give a certain amount and I will, but I don't want to tell you because I would like, she's going to like try and stop me from giving this. Right. And I feel like that in times are like times when it's like, no, this is about us doing this together. It's about we, it's not about me. And even though God told me that, and I believe I heard him, he should be able to tell you that too. Right. But a lot of couples don't give that way, or they don't think about it that way, but they really should.
They should, because again, it's a we give, not a you give.
Yeah. What are some other areas of life where we go from me to we?
Like, let's see, point 3, because, okay, so I'm going to go backtrack a little bit. So point 1 was the identity shift from me to us, and point 2 independence from interdependence. And point 3, real talk on expectations. I feel like, did we kind of cover that a little bit? Like your expectation of marriage? Do you
Sure.
have an expectation of marriage? Is that a conversation? I'm assuming you have that conversation, but it's not.
I think it's ongoing.
Yeah, but it's not like titled that way, like, oh, these are my expectation of the marriage.
Yeah.
But I guess that also depends on the person you're having
Sure.
a conversation with.
Well, I remember in maybe 2023, something like probably that year was really challenging for us. We kind of we started a ministry in Colorado, like a house church movement, and it really kind of fell flat. And you were like discouraged in ministry and some different things, and you really didn't want to do it anymore. And I remember us being at the park. This was earlier, and saying, I choose you over ministry, and I don't want, like, if that's what it means, we can just stop doing this because you're more important than this movement. And I remember like really struggling with this like idea of like, this is where God wants to take me as an individual, as a man, as a follower of Jesus. Like, this is where he's taking me. And I remember having conversations with you in 2023 where I was like, look, this is who I'm going to be. This is who God is calling me to be, and I'm going to be this. And I want you to come with me, but I can't force you to come with me down this road, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like, what you were experiencing or thinking about in that season, but, like, obviously you're still here.
Right. I'm like, to have to go back.
You chose to continue walking up. You don't remember that?
I don't
that
remember
time?
full details of that, but I do remember where I was just like, okay, we left one ministry to enter into creating another ministry, and this is like unknown on a whole nother level.
Sure.
And yeah.
It's way different to start a ministry or plant a church than to go and be part of one or work at one, even be on staff, be in leadership. To start a church is a whole different thing. And I don't think people in ministry understand that until they've actually planted or started something from scratch. It's a whole nother faith journey.
Yeah.
And it will test your marriage for sure.
Yes, it will.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's even challenging for me because I'm so like vision driven by what God has shown me and what I'm supposed to do, almost like my calling. And I think sometimes I treat it like it's my calling, like this is my calling, this is what he's asking me to do. But I actually believe that it's what he's called us to do, like as a family, even bigger than just you and me, but like as a family, this is what he's called us to do and to be, right? Mm-hmm. And that can be challenging because you don't always get the same memo that I get.
Right.
Did we get the same vision?
No, because the audio that I'm listening to or the soundtrack I'm listening to is completely different than the soundtrack you're getting. But there are times where it can be in unison. Mm-hmm. And that's when prayer comes into play, like actively praying together, or even if you're doing it separately, you're still doing it together,
Sure.
Yeah, I definitely get sometimes different soundtracks from God, which leads into the next point number 4, mm-hmm. Sacrifice and shared dreams. Yeah.
So you remember what I said to you earlier today at the volleyball game?
While I was at the volleyball game and it was crazy loud and you insisted on having the conversation.
We were walking through the cafeteria and I was talking about like how like, we are in unison, but we need to like even press in more, like, because I feel like what God is calling us to in this ministry and just discipleship is a greater level of us working together. And that's like challenging because I don't want you to feel like you're losing yourself in this process. You know what I mean? Like who you are. But I do feel like God is leading us somewhere, and he's using me to do that, you know? But at the same time, like you're saying, we do need to have shared dreams and passion. And like, what is that? You know, what are those, the unifying passion? What's the beautiful things that we're looking forward to that collectively makes sense for us, you know?
Yeah.
Finding those is important.
It is. It really is key. I think too, like when we have date nights or date days, to be able to have little pockets of that, to like be able to talk about that, but not to feel like your date is like all ministry.
A vision casting session.
Yeah. Because I'm like, we have other time for that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's key. Date nights do not have to be business focused, and they shouldn't actually. You should just be having fun, enjoying time. You could talk about few things here and there, but it should not eat up.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Tick, tick, tick.
We had a cool testimony the other day. We went out to dinner at a Mexican restaurant that we really like, and the waitress. Actually, I have a friend in Colorado. Shout to Michael Winokur. Come on, pastor of Cross Culture Church. Let's go. Michael started this thing where he, before they get their food, or when they get their food at a restaurant, they tell the waiter, "Hey, we pray before we eat. Is there anything we can pray for you?" So I do evangelism lots of different ways. I've never actually done this before, so I decided let me do this.
I don't know if we will do that again.
Why not?
I don't know, because I feel like it just was not enjoyable dinner after.
That's not true.
To me, it felt anyway. Continue what you're saying.
That's not true.
It's for me.
So you were uncomfortable by this?
Just continue, and then I'll.
Is it about you? No, I'm just playing. Okay. So I asked the waitress, "Hey, we pray before we eat. Is there anything we can pray for you specifically?" And she starts tearing up, right? And she says, my mom was just diagnosed with cancer, and she's like, it's really hard. So she's now full on crying, and she goes away and collects herself, and we've got our food in front of us. So we took a moment to pray. And
that's what I mean by it. It then becomes a little bit uncomfortable when you're like, oh, okay, I was about to enjoy this meal. And that it was heavy because for me personally, that was very heavy, and it changed the atmosphere. And
but it was a cool opportunity. I mean, yes, it was heavy, and we prayed. But would you change that? Would you say I don't want that to happen, or someone to be that vulnerable in that moment? That kind of vulnerability doesn't bother me. Maybe not the way it bothers you.
Yeah, because I feel like it just hits differently. Again, you say, I don't, when you're talking about your emotions, that I'm like, get over it. No, it's because I'm an empath and I feel the emotions. Therefore, it takes a turn for me. So it's just like, okay, I've automatically feel what she's feeling, kind of resonate, just all these things. And I'm like, I can't really enjoy this meal. It's good. It's a really good meal, but I can't enjoy it in the same sense of how I could have enjoyed it.
Okay.
But anyway.
Well, I'm sorry to mess up our date night.
Yeah, you got to do over brunch.
Oh, man.
It's do over with brunch.
I thought we were doing a good thing. I wouldn't have changed anything. I think she really needed that, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well.
It is what it is.
It is?
Yeah.
You forgive me?
I'm not the one who has to forgive. Take that up with the big dog.
Who?
God. Dog backwards is God.
I don't need to be forgiven for that.
Okay.
I did the right thing.
Okay.
I believe so.
All
Okay.
So this leads to the next point.
Let's-
Number 5.
Let's move on.
Communication and conflict.
Okay.
Trying to think a time. Well, probably that time. That would be one time where communication wasn't all the way there. There are moments where, yeah, you'll do something, but you won't communicate that you did it or you've planned to do something. And I'm like, didn't know that. Would have been nice to been a part of knowing that this is going to happen and in which direction we're going in. Not 2 days later. That was, I would say that was, you have gotten better over the last 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but
'Cause
there
it
were
would
times
be
early
bad.
on where I would just make a decision and all of a sudden we'd be doing something and it would affect everybody in the household
Yeah.
in some way. Yes.
Yep. Even
Yeah.
picking people off the street and bringing them into our home.
I think Trent
Yeah.
has like PTSD. He was like, "You're always changing things. You're always." He would say to me, I think when he was like 16, he'd be like, "You always say that it's going to be this, but then it turns out to be something different." It's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm flowing here, don't stop the flow.
This is what it's like to have a creative parent. Yeah. Flying off the handle sometimes and just go with it.
Yeah.
And like I said, picking up random people off the street and they stay in your home for 2 days straight. Maybe even a week. Months.
It's not
normal.
it's not just about you.
It's normal. Again, going back to communicating so that there isn't a conflict, right? So in order to avoid that conflict that you know is going to happen, sometimes you may not see it and you're like, oh, but this is what God is telling me to do in this very moment. Pause. Really talk to God. Then you pick up that phone and you call your spouse and you say, hey, this is what God told me. Like that's now what you do, right? Like you've been doing it, like I said, for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
You're like, God, like today at the volleyball game, he's like, God told, I'm like, I can barely hear you. Okay, let me step outside. God told me. I'm like, okay, let me confirm with God if that is what needs to, because it's the reality of like, if I'm not hearing it too, then it may not align. And so sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep having this conversation with God. And if he tells me differently.
Or you don't really want it to play out that way. I think there's been times when you've been scared, like God has called us to do something and you've been like, I don't want to do that, or I'm scared to do that, or I feel this and this about doing this. So then that can influence what you're hearing from God.
No, because I will push that negative thought of like automatic no. And I'm like, is that really you, God, telling me no? Or is that me telling the situation no? So I've learned over time to be able to decipher my voice and his voice.
Yeah.
And not make it.
So what would you say to someone who's married and the person that they're married to is kind of domineering the relationship in a way that they feel like they're actually losing, like their identity is kind of consumed by this other person?
What would I tell someone who feels like that? Why do you feel you can't have that conversation with your spouse? Like, are they truly like having headphones on where they choose not to hear what you're saying? And I guess like, what's the tone? Like, are you coming at them in a fiery way? Or are you coming at them in a passive aggressive kind of way? Or is it passive? I guess it just depends
There's
on
different
the tone.
communication styles for
Right.
sure.
And depending on how long you've been married to this person, like
Yeah.
you should be able to know the tone that they receive well, right? Like, obviously, you don't receive passive aggressive well. You're like, you're being passive aggressive. I can tell in your tone. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
are.
do not like passive aggressive at all.
Like, or even being sarcastic, you know.
Sarcasm's okay in the right setting.
You don't really care too much for it. I think you just care for like, okay, we really need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I'm like, we need to talk. Like, I'll say I don't care for the tone, or I don't care for, or I feel like if you do more so like starting the conversation with how you feel versus you're putting your perception onto that person.
Yeah, and that was like good, communication that we learned maybe halfway through our marriage of when you do this, I feel this way. Mm-hmm. And then having to deal with how you're making someone feel or talking through that. And I'm sorry that, felt this way, and I can change this. If I change this, would that make it better? Those
Sometimes
are good things.
no, it's not going to make it better. Especially if you're in the heat of it. Like, if you gave that person an hour or two to kind of simmer down and come back to that conversation, fine. But if you're like trying to be rapid fire and torpedoes just coming, oh yeah, no. Conversation's over.
So in the long run, and this is actually like a really good topic because we have to like break down biblically what is marriage and what does covering look like, and marriage in a way is like an analogy or metaphor. It's a type of being unified to Jesus, right? So it's like Jesus is the groom and the church is the bride, and we choose one another. Like Jesus chose us and we get to choose Jesus, but Jesus doesn't force us to choose him. Right. So he's not, he's in charge. He's fully in charge. And that's the kind of the dangerous thing where we have to look at this is like Jesus is fully in charge and he has the vision and he knows where we're going. And he's the provider and the protector and the priest. And then he gives that same, privilege to a husband to be the provider, protector, and priest of the family, right? And then he chooses a wife, and the wife has to choose him back. And it's like Jesus loved the bride so much that he decided to give his life. He decided to die, right? And what's interesting about this is that Jesus chose to die for the bride when she wasn't worth dying for. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When she was messed up. And in a way, actually, the Bible presents this idea that the bride was kind of like a prostitute and was really messed up and caught up in like giving herself over to idols and these things. And it was in that when the bride was at her worst that Jesus came and died for her. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's this analogy, but then he applies that to us now to actually, and this is the challenge where it's like, in order to follow Jesus, we have to deny ourselves, right? And then we find ourselves in marriage. Do you feel like the wife, in some way, to follow the husband where God is leading, does the wife have to deny herself? Because I think this is taught very often in Christianity, in marriage, in the marriage context, that the wife has to, in a way, deny herself to come under and follow and cling to the husband. Even though it's mutual, right? Because it's like, women, I guess I'm asking, is it easy to submit to a man that would die for you?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then for men, is she the kind of woman that you would die for? And are you willing to die for her even if she's not that person yet? Do you see what I mean? And this is like, it puts a whole like deeper meaning on, we go from me to we.
But at the same time, too, like if you're saying she has to deny a part of herself in order to like submit to him, is he willing to deny a part of himself also to be able
Sure.
to receive from her as well?
Yeah, I think it becomes mutual. And even in the denial of self to follow Jesus, and then he points, I would say this: when I submit to Jesus, I turn to him, and a lot of times he points to you and says, "Well, listen to what she has to say," or "Go serve her in this way," or "Go love her in this way," right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just feel. I'll be like, if we can get vulnerable on this podcast, I feel so selfish at times in our relationship. And I want to get better at being the type of man that would die for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even if you don't submit, but to still die for you. And to not only deny myself for Jesus, but to, in the process of that, deny myself for you.
Yeah, it just makes me think of like the marriages that we have seen through mentors, and just kind of like how each of them are with their wives, like the husbands towards their wives, just so loving and vulnerable in some cases, where it's like you don't see that all the time between a husband and wife. Like you don't usually see like the vulnerable side towards a husband being soft towards his wife in a certain kind of way. And then vice versa, to see like a wife being truly loving with her husband. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of like what sticks out to me, is the fact that we had those relationships and seen those relationships to be emulated in some ways, and and kind of carrying that with us, and at the same time showing our kids what that looks like too.
Yeah. I think that maybe there should be a last point on there, in that we need to go from me to we, but also from we to community. And realizing that I can't become fully who God has created me to be without you, right? Because of the covenant that we have, it requires that I need to stay in this, so that, because you're part of who I am in this life, right? Mm-hmm. But that also means that us together as a couple, we need other people, mentors, people we can see, what does this look like, right? How does this actually play out? And yeah, to any married couple out there that is listening to this, that I hope that if they are feeling alone, or that's just them in their marriage and they're kind of private and cut off, they're kind of islanding, right? They're islanders.
They're on an island, yeah.
Yeah. So it's so important that you find good community of other married couples that can walk with you through hard times, and vice versa, that you can be there for other people and essentially lay your lives down for those that are around you,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Very good. So to end this, let's see. So the shift from me to we is ongoing. It's less about losing yourself and more about building something bigger together. Mm-hmm. So what's one area, this is for the viewers, the listeners, what's one area you can learn more into we this week? Mm-hmm. Take some time to pray, either together or separately.
Yeah.
And really reflect on that and have that conversation.
Yeah. Maybe there's an area where you've been a little bit solo, right? Whether it be your finances or your parenting, or dealing with something. You've been doing something solo, and think more, what does that look like to practice the we? Yeah. All right. So this is we're still kind of in the testing phase. This is podcast number 3,
Yeah.
right? Episode 3.
And we have a name.
We have a name. Come
we
on.
We have a name. The Marriage Mixtape.
That's right. So what is it? Every marriage has a soundtrack?
Yeah.
Or is that the
because
like
every
marriage
has a soundtrack.
That's right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to sign out from here.
Yeah.
This was a blessing. And we still need to figure out what time and day we're going to broadcast the new episode each week. So we'll let you guys know the actual schedule. We're going to dial this in. We're going to get a logo created. We're going to have a schedule where we'll actually post same time each week.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, we will. So.
All right. Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
All right.